Hello and welcome to the Office of the Patriot. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, welcome back. And thank you for your continued viewership. It is appreciated. And if you're a first-time viewer, well, congratulations on finding my channel. I hope you find the information worth coming back for. My name is Myron Ybarra and I'm your host. Today's episode is going to revolve around the concept of personal consequence. Primarily, consequences of bad behavior, but also consequences of good behavior. Before I start, and because the YouTube algorithm puts me at the back of the line unless I've got lots of viewership interaction, I'm going to pose this question to you viewers. Do you believe the consequences for criminal behavior today act as a deterrent to future criminal behavior? Please take the time to comment below. In order to discuss what consequences are, the term needs to be defined. According to Merriam-Webster, consequence is something produced by a cause or necessarily following from a set of conditions. If you watch some of my other videos, I've talked about the idea of consequence, specifically crime and punishment. So I'm going to stay in that same vein with today's video. Our entire criminal justice system, and for that matter, the entire social structure we live by, is based on the premise of consequence. Generally, if you do good things and are a good person, the consequence of that is good things will happen to you or because of you. This is something most people are taught at an early age by their parents, their grandparents, teachers, the clergy, and it's usually accompanied by the phrase, if you work hard. But consequence for every action, both good and bad, include both good and bad consequences. However, they're not usually apparent at the same time. If you do good things, that usually requires some self-sacrifice, personal investment, and time, also known as work. The immediate consequence of more investment of your time and work is being tired and having less time to yourself, as well as delayed return on your time and work investment. And that's the negative consequence of being or doing good things. The positive consequence comes later, like I said before, in good things for you or because of you. Being good or doing good sometimes, well, actually most of the time, is an easy or time-effective way to get things done and to have good things happen to you. But I believe this is part of the human condition. See, the benefit of reward without the consequence of labor or the effort for it has little value. So it should be hard to be good and do good things. And as a result, that means it usually takes longer to have good things happen to you or because of you. This in contrast to being bad and or doing bad things. Being bad and doing bad things usually results in immediate gratification and in many cases, reward. So you strike somebody out of anger, you get the pleasure of inflicting injury. You take something from somebody, you get the pleasure of enjoying whatever it is you took. However, the negative consequence of being bad isn't usually felt until later in the future. Well, that's what we originally believed happened based on our societal rules. Today, bad behavior, and more specifically criminal behavior, gets the positive consequence of immediate pleasure without the negative consequence that's supposed to act as general and specific deterrence for that bad behavior. What is general and specific deterrence? Well, in simple terms, general deterrence is the idea of witnessing somebody else's negative consequences, also known as punishment, for bad behavior that in turn is supposed to deter you from engaging in similarly situated behavior. An example would be your brother or sister getting punished for something they shouldn't have done, and you watch it happen. You watching the punishment happen should deter you from initiating the same behavior yourself. Specific deterrence is the effect that punishment has on the individual that engaged in the bad behavior. In essence, it's the negative consequence of the bad behavior that's supposed to be felt by the offender and that is supposed to deter them from engaging in future acts of bad behavior. What's happening in our society today is negative consequence for both good and bad behavior is being removed. And what happens when you remove negative consequence from behavior? Society becomes an equivalent of a one-sided coin. It just can't exist. Not in the long term, anyway. Imagine removing all the trials and tribulation a good person has to go through to receive reward. That would be like schools handing out diplomas to students who can barely understand what the diploma is supposed to signify. Unfortunately, we see this happening today. We also see the bad consequences of bad behavior being removed. Just take a look at the absolute lawlessness that is occurring in virtually every major city and some small suburban ones with no consequence to the people who violate the law. These people steal, hurt, terrorize neighborhoods only to be caught and re-released by a broken criminal justice system that was tasked with holding them accountable, but now doesn't. So how did this happen? Well, honestly, it pains me to say it, but we did it. Our complacency brought us here. So how do we fix it? Well, this breakdown of our societal norms didn't occur overnight, although it may feel like it did, but it didn't. The quick and easy answer is you are going to have to take a stand and invest yourself into the community. If that means getting a hold of your representatives and reminding them of their responsibility to their constituency and their oaths of office, then that's what you should do. Others may decide to take a more direct approach and run for office or take public positions. We need good and honorable men and women to serve the public trust as peace officers, firefighters, medical providers, public officials, and politicians. Until that happens, we're going to see the continued degradation of consequence, which I believe will soon be replaced by unethical, hedonistic behavior and ideology, more commonly known as woke liberalism. Well, that's all I have for this episode. If you enjoy the content, please take a minute to subscribe, like, and share my channel on your social media. Your viewership and interaction is certainly appreciated. And as always, have a great day and stay safe out there.